Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, USA Global TV and Radio watchers and listeners. You are joining me, Mariska du Preez, here on Talking Heads. Yes, Dr. Jacqueline, of course, is always in the house. Otherwise, we would not have this program today. But she's backstage, pressing buttons, making sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. And I am here today to share a little bit more around self-awareness. Yeah, that I have found through a few conversations can be a contentious subject matter. So I thought, well, why not share a little bit more? I know that we have one of our series really goes into self-awareness a little bit deeper. And I thought another one might be a good idea. And what better way to start it off than really digging into the why it's important and how does this even look like? How does this translate to me as a human being? What do I need to do this? Do I even need to do this? What's going on? So let's start with what is it? Because if we don't know whether it matters if we don't even know what it is. And I had a conversation with one of my clients not so long ago around this very topic and looking at, well, do I even need to invest in this? What is all the fuss about? What is this about? So one of the things that we during our discussion came across was this concept about people saying that we shouldn't listen to what other people think of us. And yet, a part of our self-awareness is around what other people think of us. So isn't that a contradiction in terms? It sort of doesn't make sense. You say not to worry about what other people think of us, and then you say to worry about what other people think of us. It doesn't quite make sense. So the way that I approached this was that we have this element around our self-efficacy and really thinking around how it is that we want to be in the world, who we show up as in the world, and what is good for us to do or not to do. And that's the piece where, technically speaking, no one has a say other than only us. We have a say in how we want to live our life. We have the say in what we feel is important and what we value, right? All of that is our own choice. I can decide what I want to create in the world, how I want to be as a human being in this world, how I want to show up for other people. That is all my choice. And no matter anybody else's opinion of whether they agree or not agree to how I am showing up, it is still my choice, nobody else's. And that's the piece where it doesn't really matter what other people think, because that's what I want to do. And this is That's the way that I want to be in the world. The piece where self-awareness comes in is also understanding me being in this space in the world. And by me being who I am, choosing the things that I am choosing, living the way that I am living, it has an impact and an effect on my environment. And I need to be aware, that's where the self-awareness comes in, what that impact is. So, or impacts, it might be more than one impact. So the way that might be a little bit easier to understand this is when you think back to school. Yes, we go back to school. Most of us had chemistry in school at some stage. And in chemistry, one of the things that we learn is that we can have two elements in one container, and the two elements are sort of just hanging out, same container, just being happy. But they don't really interact with one another. They sort of get close to one another and they can bump off, but they don't do anything, right? There's no reaction taking place in that space. They're just hanging out, doing nothing much really. And then there's a specific piece that in chemistry I very vividly recall learning, and it's called a catalyst. Now, the catalyst is a piece or an element that we add to the container that causes these two elements to all of a sudden react. And they do something. They might form a bond. They might not like each other at all and explode. There's some form of reaction that takes place as soon as we put that catalyst in there. Now, if we just take ourselves and we just take another human being and we are in our own little bubbles, we like those elements. We just bump off each other and we don't really interact with one another. We're there in the same container, same environment, that's it. Us being self-aware helps us to see that, because technically speaking, we are human beings. We don't have little bubbles around ourselves, right? There's no bubble. There's literally us, and there's gonna be some form of reaction when we are in a room with another person. The reaction might be that, well, I don't really know you and I don't really want to interact with you, so I'm going to stand in that corner and you're going to stand in that corner, and we're just in the room, right? That's a reaction. Or we might wonder about this person that is in the room with us and wonder closer and then find out about the person and start up a conversation, and they might have a different reaction to that. It's still a reaction because we're not in little bubbles by ourselves. The piece where the self-awareness comes in is understanding what catalyst it is that we bring to this conversation, interaction, situation with us. And our catalyst can change. So if we bring an emotional high catalyst of joy, we will have a different type of reaction with this other human being than when we bring a catalyst of melancholy, or we bring a catalyst of anger. So thinking about and not only emotional things are catalysts, so not only the emotions that show up for us, there's a variety of different things and ways in which we catalyze any interaction in which we are during the day. So understanding what each and every one does and how they show up for us as individuals, that is part of our self-awareness. And that also goes into the why this thing is important for us to understand, to get. Because if we go into a room and we're carrying a catalyst with us, let's say it's anger, and we go into the room and there's a reaction, and we were not self-aware enough to know that that's the catalyst that we took with us, there might be an explosion or an adverse reaction, depending on what the other person's reaction mode is to that specific thing. And we might be surprised. But what did I do? Well, you brought a catalyst with you that caused a reaction, and that's the way that the other person reacted. So really understanding what it is that we're carrying with us helps us to have more optimal interactions in our environment. And that's where some of the research behind this self-awareness topic, and it is a really, really big topic. So some of the research within that space, when we look at it, we can categorize it into internal self-awareness. So understanding ourselves, what we value, the things that's important to us as a human being. And then there's also the external piece of it. So understanding how we catalyze other people. How it is that when I show up and I have these certain things with me, how it impacts my interactions with another person or a group of people in a room. And understanding that, I can then become more intentional about whether I want that type of interaction or not. If in general I don't enjoy that type of interaction and I'm unaware that I'm causing that type of interaction, I will continue having those types of interactions. On the flip side, if I get those types of interactions, which I don't enjoy, and I'm aware of what it is that I do, what it is that I'm bringing with me, for that to actually have a reaction of some sort, explosion or otherwise, then at least I can change it, because now I know that, if I'm going to bring this catalyst with me, it's going to have this type of reaction with that person, because they're all different elements. And if I'm bringing the same sort of catalyst with another person, I'm going to have a different sort of reaction. So that is, in its essence, what self-awareness is about. Is really understanding not only our inner world and what we enjoy being made out of, right? It is also around how we impact our outer world and the environment in which it is that we function. Now, this, as a leader or an up-and-coming leader, is a really important concept to understand, and understand why it is important for us to actually get this and work with this. Because one, if we are not, first of all, if we're not aware of our own workings, how it is that we do certain things, what works for us, how our energy management works, all of those nuances to have a well-run human machine. If we don't know how all of that works, then we can't really run ourselves optimally. We can't function optimally as a human being because, well, we might be pressing the wrong buttons at the wrong times, or not give ourselves fuel when we actually need it, or give ourselves the wrong type of fuel for what it is that we are trying to achieve. So really understanding what is going on for ourselves internally. And yes, this has got to do with exercise and health and mental health and all the various aspects that makes any human being a human being. We are not a frog, we are a human being. Right. And we are having this human experience as souls. So we need to understand how that works. And then a part of understanding how that works is bringing that into our environment. Because yes, we are a soul having a human being experience on the planet Earth. And the planet Earth also has, well, no surprise there, a whole bunch of other human beings on it. Just look at that. Because this is the place where we live. So understanding how it is that we function in order for us to function in an optimal way with each other is very important. And when we're in a leadership position, now leadership is a very broad term again, because technically speaking, even becoming aware of what it is that we bring to the table, that is me leading myself, and you leading yourself, and the next person leading themselves. So that is already a form of leadership. So thinking about leadership as in group dynamics, it becomes more of a how I am impacting or influencing or catalyzing with my environment and with this group of people. Because we want to be able to do certain things. We want to drive for certain goals. We want to achieve certain results. We want to get somewhere. And we all know from the African proverb that traveling alone, you can travel fast. If you travel together, you can travel far. And that makes a big difference for us as a human species. It's a little bit like having a shooting star versus having our sun. If we have a shooting star, it's literally, it's there, it's gone, we don't see it again. If we have, and if we look at the sun, it goes on and on and on and on and on for, well, millennia. So really understanding that with our team, we can do a lot more and go a lot further as a group. And to do that as a group, we need to understand not only ourselves, the peace within the group, we also need to understand our group dynamics, our system in which it is that we work. So that is why our self-awareness is such an important topic to start with whenever we look at anything it is that we want to be doing. It's really important to understand what this is that we do. And another surprising tidbit for anybody that thinks, oh yeah, well, I did some of that when I was like, I don't know, 17 or my early 20s. I don't have to worry about it again. Well, it never really stops. And the reason why I say it never really stops is because we continue on this wonderful journey called life. We continue to learn new things. We continue to understand things in different ways. We are meaning-making machines, and we meaning-make things differently. As we move through life, as we move through time, as we move through an environment or an experience, every time we do that, literally opening our eyes in the morning and having our brain come online and going, I need to do all of these things. It is part of our meaning-making process. And throughout that time, we are continuously updating the way we think about things. Now, we can be very intentional about it and say, well, this is what I want to be working on and updating my system on. Or we can sort of go through life all over the place and not really know what it is that we're doing and just fall into situations. And preferably, if you are here and listening or watching this right now, that is not the case for you. You are going to be a lot more intentional with how you approach life in order to bring the best out of it, so that, well, when you are well on your way towards the end of your life, you can look back and think, you know what, this was worth doing. This, I didn't necessarily enjoy all the bits. I definitely learned a lot. And even the things that I didn't enjoy as much, there was some good nuggets in there that I wouldn't change for anything. And we know that people go through significant life experiences that might not be a lot of fun and come out the other side. And people will think, but how do you do this? How do you keep yourself so positive? And it's really about this meaning-making element of it. The way that they make meaning for themselves, the way that they've explored their own self and their environment again makes a big, big difference. So yes, self-awareness might feel like it's the start of your journey, and wonderful if it is. And I'm very happy if you are somewhere in the middle or somewhere towards what you think might be the end, and only because, well, maybe it is your time to leave this planet. Or maybe it's not. Maybe you still have a couple of things to learn before going. Self-awareness, however, is something that we continuously do. And if you would like to find out a little bit more around this topic, or are still wondering why this might be important, and you need a different type of analogy, I'm sure I can come up with something. I haven't yet, but hey, meaning making is always happening for me too. So it is always fun to see what my freshest thinking is around a topic. So if you would like to brainstorm or have a conversation around this, please do get into contact with me. You can do that via my email, which is mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively, you can contact me via LinkedIn. Write me a little message to say that you got a hold of me here on USA Global TV and Radio, and I would love to answer or have a conversation, as it would, well, benefit the both of us, because I am sure I will learn from you too. Until next time, I hope that you enjoy exploring your own inner and outer workings. Bye-bye.